Coming to you live from Ramsey Studios. You're joining a conversation about who you are, what you were created to do, where you want to do it, and how you can get there. It's all about you and your meaningful work. What is the work that you need to contribute to this world? All of us. That's right, even you. The person who's really down right now and feels like you have nothing to contribute. That's a lie. All of us. Every man and woman on the planet created to fill a unique role. That means that you are, in fact, needed. You're very valuable. And it means you've got to do it. So I'm here to help you figure that out. So wherever you are in the journey, I'm here for you. 844-747-2577 is the number coming up. I've got some really interesting data and some great practical knowledge for you on performance reviews that created a lot of anxiety. We'll get to your calls. We'll also get to the chat room right here on the computer. The video window right there that you're watching with, you see next to it. You can jump right in there and fire your questions. We'll get to that as well. So let's talk about performance reviews. Now, if you're in any kind of serious organization, you're going to have performance reviews. Now, here at Ramsey Solutions, for example, every team member has a performance review. We call it the annual review. And so it is truly annual. And it's around the time that you started, and that just kind of keeps repeating itself. And I do them, and they're fantastic. But a recent article from recruiter.com I want to share with you. According to a recent Adobe survey, 1 in 3 millennials have been reduced to tears by a performance review. And 47% have even felt compelled to look for another job. Now, I'm not picking on millennials. This is just a data point because here's the deal. I defend millennials. If you're a millennial, I love you. There's nothing wrong with a millennial, and I'm tired of all the, millennials this, millennials that. Listen, here's the deal. Millennials are people, and so you've got things like this. While this is relevant data, this is true of Gen X. This is true of Gen Z, which is coming behind you millennials. This is true of baby boomers. Performance reviews it's just a human element that we're going to get nervous, right? And it's going to create anxiety. Nobody wants to hear anything that may be negative. All right. So that's where we sit. It's a big, big problem for folks. They freak out. And if you look at this, reduced to tears, it's just an emotion because of the stress and anxiety, and your feelings are hurt. And then compelled to look for another job is because you get such a negative review that you feel like, I can't fix my brand. I've got to move on. All right. So, great article here. I want to share 3 quick things that'll help you get ready for your performance review and do well. I think this is really good advice. They say keep a brag book. And very simply put, this is citing on your own, writing down through the course of the year, relevant accomplishments that you can bring up during the meeting. So throughout the year, think of the small contributions to major achievements, anything that bolsters the company's bottom line is really good, right? At the end of the day, I try to help people realize this. Look, I'm not saying your leader's not a good person, but at the end of the day, they want to know that you are helping them win. And that means helping the company win. So those are the type of things you want to jot down. Number 2, take constructive criticism gracefully. This is great advice. Just know you're going into a review and you're not perfect. So therefore, if you're going to get reviewed, there are some things that you can always get better at. Relax. Unless it's unhealthy, and if it's unhealthy, you don't want to be there anyway. But the idea here is relax. Go in there knowing you're going to get some critique and get a stiff upper lip, prepare mentally for that, and relax. Just take it. Okay? And be thankful. Be thankful. Say, hey, I really appreciate the feedback. And I'm going to add to this. When you hear it, go, thank you for telling me that. Do you have any specific ways that you think that I could improve on those? Is there a seminar I can go to, or should I read this book, or some people in the office I can talk to? Do you want more accountability from me? Boy, if you receive it well and then say something like that, like, I want to get better. Will you help me get better? That's a huge win. That leads to point number 3, which is know the do's and don'ts of asking for a raise or promotion. I teach on this. I'm going to give you my thoughts here briefly, but this data is interesting. Most companies budget around 3% for annual raises. So keep that in mind. Don't come in with something higher than 3% without a whole bunch of evidence. Okay. And even then I'd be real careful. So think 3%. What I'm asking, is it way above what is a norm for companies? Okay. Now, this is good news for you ladies out there. Recent data has shown that 64% of men reported receiving a raise in 2018 to only 52% of women. So women, this is an opportunity for you to go, hey, listen, I'd like to talk about increasing my pay, because HR companies are paying attention to this because of the social pressure, which is a good pressure to make sure that women and men are making the same. You're not judged by their sex. So just point that out, women. You've got a chance there, I think, to make a good case. The timing is right for you. So the idea here is preparation. If you prepare, what you've done great. You prepare emotionally, and you prepare financially for these meetings. It's preparation. These meetings, these performance reviews are going to go so much better for you. 844-747-2577 is the number. 844-747-2577, the number to jump in. Again, a little bit later in the program, we'll get to the chat room to get to your questions. They're coming in now, so great stuff. Appreciate that. Here we go. Mike starts us off in Alliance, Ohio. Mike, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. How can I help today?
Yeah, I'm in a bit of a situation here. I'm over $100,000 in debt. My last job, I was laid off for a year and a half. I'm 55 years old, and it's tough finding a job. And now I currently work basically minimum wage, making about $25 a year, and no assets, no savings or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to make my shovel bigger, I guess, to make things a little bit better.
Why is it that you think that you don't know how to make the money you used to make, which was how much, by the way?
About 35, 40 at the most.
Okay, so 40 is the most you've ever made. Right now you're making about 25 doing minimum wage stuff.
Yes.
What kind of work would you love to get into? I mean, let's just be real for a moment. And I know you're in a down situation, but for a moment I want you to suspend all the discouragement and just shoot me straight here. If I could give you a gig tomorrow making 40, 45, or 50, what is it that you would want to do? You know you're good at it and you would enjoy the work. Give me an example or two.
What I used to do previously was management work, sales. Had my own business for a while, and then that didn't turn out so well at the end. And
I understand what you've done. I want to know, what would you do tomorrow?
So, and that's the thing. I'm not sure.
Well, you have an idea.
I don't know if it's because of the discouragement.
Yeah, you're discouraged. You're totally discouraged, and I understand that. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I'm trying to shake you out of it, Mike. I'm saying, Mike, don't tell me you don't have a couple ideas that have been swimming around in your head. You're a former business owner. You're an entrepreneur. You got ideas. I don't care if you think the ideas will work. I'm asking you to answer my question. Now, I want you to let your heart answer this question. Stop thinking, Mike, and let your heart blurt something out. If I guarantee you that you would be successful, you'd make the money that you need to make, that you want to make, what would you give it a shot? Give it a shot tomorrow. What would you do?
That's where I'm having a little
No, stop.
trouble.
You've already said that.
Yeah.
You've already said that.
Yeah.
Mike, did you enjoy selling before? Did you enjoy running your own business? Did you enjoy being in a management leadership position before? Did you enjoy any of that?
Yeah, I did. And then I guess with the some of the stress level kind of turned me off, but the work itself I enjoyed.
Okay, boom. So stop. That's what we're talking about. Which of those three things, what work, think about the tasks, the functions during the day, did you enjoy the most? Out of all three of those things, tell me. Forget the stress. What did you enjoy? Say it.
I guess just trying to help people out.
Help people how?
By giving them what they needed or helping them to get their job done. Just different things.
All right. So am I hearing that you enjoyed the management role the most?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Mike, what's something that you've always wondered about years ago before you got discouraged? Maybe young Mike, 25-year-old Mike, or 15-year-old Mike, or 35-year-old Mike. Something that Mike always wanted to do. It's something, take me back, because discouraged Mike is not thinking clearly. I want to go back. What's something you dreamed about or wondered about as a young Mike that you never went after? What is it?
I don't know. Maybe that's where I went wrong. I just thought about being successful, but not really thinking so much how.
Okay. Mike, when I ask you these three questions, Mike, when I ask you these three questions, I want you to tell me what pops to the top of your mind. Stop thinking about work and titles. Who do you most want to help? What problem do you most want to solve? What solution do you most want to provide? What comes to your mind when you ask yourself those three questions?
See, I don't know.
All right, Mike. Mike, you're not even trying. And I'm going to be really straightforward with you. You are a human being who has a heart and who has a soul. I'm tired of hearing you say, I don't know, because you do know. You're not allowing yourself in the moment to answer the question. What's happening is I'm asking you that question and something's not immediately popping to your mind, or something is in your mind and you go, there's no chance that could happen. That ship has sailed. So I don't have any new answers. One of the two is happening, if not both simultaneously. I refuse to believe that you, Mike, have nothing in your heart when I ask the question, if I could pay you what money you would make, who would you most want to help in the workplace? Because you've already given me some clue. I think you love being a part of a team, and when the team comes to you in a management position, you go, hey, I'm going to help solve that problem, whether it's a people problem or whether it's a system problem. I just don't believe that, Mike, you have no answers. Now, I'm going to give it to you one more time. Mike, when I ask you if you get paid well to solve these type of problems or help these type of people or provide this type of solution, what makes your heart go, that's interesting? At the very minimum, it's interesting. Give me an answer.
I don't know. Since I've been working by myself lately, not having anyone over my shoulder, I'm kind of liking that actually. But at the same time, helping people, and I guess maybe that's because nothing pops in, and maybe that's leading to my confusion, along with my, stumbling blocks in the past, I guess.
I think what's really going on is you just think you're a big failure. That's what I think. Am I right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. You can't.
Yeah, because I've done it so many times.
I know, but it's because there's so many circumstances involved in your failures. But you've accepted your failures as sentences as opposed to opportunities to learn and move forward. That's the problem. Let me tell you what's going on here. So, Mike, number one, I think you need to see a counselor. I think you're a person who has got legitimate depression. I think it's beyond discouragement. And I can help you. And I want you to call back into the show after you do the homework assignment I'm about to give you. But I also think that you've got to sit down with a professional counselor, and you're going to have to deal with your failures and the hurt and the pain and the junk and the voices that are in your head. You have got to do that. Now, you begin to be able to deal with those things and be able to see clearly and separate your past from your future and even your past from your present. Then I can help you. But I want you to do the same thing I just asked you, but I want you to do the sweet spot exercise. I want you to walk through what you do best and what you love to do most. And you're struggling with what you love to do, so the clues for you are in what you do best. Because we as human beings always want to do things that we're actually proficient at, that we're good at. And you gave us some clues, but you just stopped. So I didn't do this exercise with you on the phone because I thought you were right there. But the reality is that the answers to what you'd like to do in the future and work that really matters to you is within the work you've done in the past, things that you've dreamed about, things that you've wondered about. So go through the exercise of what do you do best, and go get some other people in your life who will tell you the truth. It won't just make you feel good because you're so down right now, you can't even hear positive voices. This is a problem. And I'm willing to spend more time on this one, folks, because there are a lot of Mikes out there right now. Look at me. Look at me right now. Some of you are just like Mike, and you felt bad for Mike. You're like, Ken, you're pushing him. You're pushing him. You bet I'm pushing him. Because I need to be the voice in Mike's head in this moment where he called me that says, and I need to be the voice in your head that says, you do matter. You are not a giant failure. You've had some roadblocks. You've had some missteps. But there are reasons for those things, and we've got to dive into the reasons. And instead of taking it personal, we've got to go, okay, I know not what to do this time. Here's what I learned. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. I get rid of the phrase, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Because when you fail, you're not losing. This is an opportunity to learn and do it again better or redirect. So Mike's got to go back and do the hard work, and you've got to do the hard work. 2 things that Mike has to do and that you have to do. Number 1, Mike's got to go get healthy. He's depressed, and that's a real thing, folks. Because a depressed person cannot be clear. They've got to get over and through the depression, and that takes time. Sometimes it's quicker for others. Sometimes you need medicine. Sometimes you don't. Okay, there are levels of depression. I'm not a psychiatrist, okay? But here's what I do know. A depressed and discouraged person can't think clearly. So we've got to be able to filter it and all the past and all the junk, and that's what you need to do. Filter your failure. And filter it by this. Don't let the failure tell you that you're a loser. Because you're not. Now, the only thing, so that's what we're filtering. All the negative that you're done, that you've got nothing to offer, all that junk. What you want to do is look at why I failed, where I failed, what I would do differently, what I can learn from this. Now, all of a sudden, whoo, this is awesome. And the last thing I want to say to Mike and the rest of you folks is this. If you have failed recently, welcome to the human race. And oh, by the way, welcome to the successful path. Every successful man and woman I've ever read about, met, interviewed, talked to, has failed. They just filtered the failure. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the show today. I'm going to get back to this. All right. We're going to get back to the phones. But if you want to hear how to filter failure, I'm going to go through a couple things here a little bit later in the program. 844-747-2577 is the number. Savannah, Georgia is where we go next. Jessica's on the line. Jessica, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. How are you?
I am living the dream. What's going on today?
Not much. I had kind of like I guess it would be, maybe considered more of an easier question for you. I'm currently working at a staffing agency in Savannah while my husband is getting his master's. He'll be graduating in May, so we'll be soon moving. We just don't know where we're moving to yet.
Right.
I have this dream of opening and owning my own kind of like family-friendly, affordable boutique.
Okay.
So while we're, trying to figure out the logistics of everything and where we're standing while we'll be settling, that kind of thing, I want to go ahead and start steps on doing my research and, trying to figure out exactly what I want my store to be, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So my question for you is, while I am still here in Savannah and working to make sure that my bills are paid and that we're, taking care of baby step 2 and everything. What are some tips you would give me as far as trying to, take a couple of steps closer to opening and owning my own boutique?
Yeah. I love this question. So step number 1 is I want you to do a little dreaming. And I want you to do this physically. And what I mean by this is I'm a fan of a pencil. I'm using a pencil. I use a pencil every day on the show, and I've got a moleskin here. So whatever journal or notebook that you want. But the idea is you've got to get it out of your head onto paper. We know from psychology studies that that's very, very powerful. It becomes much more vivid in your mind. And so what would be fun is to take an hour or 2 or a half day somewhere, go to a place that just really inspires you. Is it a creative coffee shop? Are there a couple stores that you love, boutique stores? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what I want you to do? Before you do this little creative thing, I want you to walk in those stores, spend about 15 minutes in each one.
Okay.
Just walk around, smell it, see it. What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? Just get in a couple places that you really love. Like you're always telling your girlfriends, your husband, I love this store. Okay. That's start. Now get alone, pencil and paper. And I want you to write out, if I could have my own boutique business that I knew would be successful, this is what I would do. And this is why.
Okay.
Give me several what I would do and whys, just for fun. Now, when you look at that, Jessica, you might change that list in the moment. You might change it the next day. But I want you to spend a little bit of time visiting this list and editing the list. Get that old eraser out and edit the list. And what is it that you would do if you knew you were going to be successful, but you didn't have to commit to it for a long time? What would you try? And then I want you to also answer these 3 questions. This is homework assignment number 2 after you do that first one. Okay?
Okay.
Step 2 is I want you to answer the question, who do I most want to help? What problem do I most want to solve? What solution do I most want to provide? Who do I most want to help? What problem do I most want to solve? What solution do I most want to provide? Jessica, that's going to help. That's coming on the heels of exercise 1, step 1, okay?
Okay.
And the reason you're answering that question is it begins to open up. As an entrepreneur, that's what you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those 3 questions really are the same question. It's a psychological experiment in my mind, right? So you think, who do you want to help? That's your ideal customer. You tracking with me?
Mm-hmm.
What problem you want to solve is, okay, the ideal customer is the ideal customer because they've got a problem that you're also passionate about solving. And you're solving it through the solutions you're providing, which is the stuff on the shelves. Tracking with me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. You do those 2 things, and then now we're starting to get real good ideas. And then I think the third step is when you get all these ideas, you go, which one of these things makes my heart sing the most?
Okay.
And I think it's going to be a clear answer. What do you think of that?
I love it.
Is that helpful?
Good ideas.
Is that helpful?
Absolutely.
All right,
so
listen.
helpful. Yes.
Yeah. Now listen, that's what you do. And so when you then land on the idea, Jessica, then there's another step. Okay. I think the first thing is idea. Second thing is, okay, once I get the idea, I want to get in proximity, use my proximity principle. Do you have my book?
I do. Yeah. Actually,
Great.
my husband gave it to me as a gift for Christmas. I just started reading it.
Perfect. Okay. So as you get the clear winning idea or your top 2 or 3 ideas, you get in proximity to people that are in that space.
Okay.
Who are running successful boutiques. Maybe you can't do coffee with them because maybe they live in Nebraska or Orlando or wherever, right? But you can follow them online, right? So who's offering what you offer or what you want to offer in your boutique on a national, regional level, or they do it via social media? Oh, now, Jessica, this is the gold I'm giving you. Because by getting in proximity to them online or in person, you are clarifying everything involved in that particular line of business or that product or service, and then you're verifying that idea list. So you do that. That's the second big step. And the third step is once you land on what that thing is, before you move or as you're moving, all that kind of stuff, you do some market research. Once we know where we're moving, we want to relax. And I want you reading entrepreneur books, leadership books, listening to podcasts, things like that. You got to feed your mind with content that will help you launch this business. And don't launch it too soon. Be patient. Launch it really, really small and take your time trying to grow it. That would be my advice.
Thank you so much.
Jessica,
do you have any entrepreneur books that you would recommend?
Yes. In fact, hang on the line. I'm going to give you my colleague Christy Wright's book, Business Boutique. It's perfect for you.
I actually have that book too.
Great. That's a great book. I want you to read that. I want you to listen to the Entree Leadership Program, which is a part of Ramsey Solutions. I used to host that. Alex Judd hosts it now. That's a great program. I'm trying to think other entrepreneurial books. Nothing's popping top of mind, but I would go do a search on Amazon, the top selling books, do your own homework on that, read the reviews, see what people are saying, and you'll be able to find a great resource without much problem at all. Thanks for the call. Hey, how many of you out there have asked yourself the question recently, should I quit my job? Yeah, a lot of you. I know. That's why we created this new resource, Should I Quit My Job Quiz. 20 questions. Boom, 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 boom. Get you clarity. And here's what we're finding. We just released this recently. And we're finding that people are like, Ken, I had an idea. I'm pretty much not surprised at all. This quiz nailed it. And that confirmation, we're seeing this email after email, social media post after post. Ken, you nailed me, and I got to do something about it. So if you're wondering, should I quit my job? We've got 4 quadrants that this quiz are going to put you in, right? May confirm that you're in the right place and in the right role. May confirm that you're in the right role but in the wrong place. Or you're in the wrong role but a right place. Or, I'm in the wrong role and the wrong place. So 20 quick questions. KenColeman.com takes less than 3 minutes. Go get it. It's free and it's fast. Should I quit my job quiz? Go get it now. 844-747-2577 is the number. Let's go to the chat room right now. Meg writes in, hey, Ken, what's the best way to follow up with someone on an important issue and they won't email you back? Uh-oh. Now, there's no real stock answer here. Meg, I love the questions where I have to go, what would I do in this situation? I got to follow up with someone on an important issue. I don't know what the issue is. So that, I'll be honest with you, that kind of changes things. So this is an example in the chat room. Give me as much detail as possible, short and sweet. But we know it's important and they won't email you back. Let me tell you the Ken Coleman response, personal. Something about an email. We like to call it an electronic mail, don't we, Joe? If I send you an electronic mail, very easy for you to just go, oh, not dealing with that right now. Don't want to deal with it. That person's not anywhere near me, right? I'm not running into them. And I'm assuming that's the case. Why would you send an email on an important issue when you can sit down with somebody? So I'm assuming you're not in the same building with this person. You're not running into them on a regular basis. I would take it next level. And I would not do email. I would try to get them on the phone. I would not leave a voicemail. If they're not answering the phone, I'd show up. That's what I'd do. If you have to have feedback. Now, the only caveat to the showing up thing, and some of you are going, whoa, Ken, that's way too confrontational. Well, again, it's my show. You asked me. If it's important and I have to have feedback or resolution, I'm going to show up. But this could be a situation, and this is the caveat, where you just want an answer and it's important to you, but they're not going to give you an answer, and them not giving you answers, you ultimately getting your answer, which means they're not answering, you move on, right? But I'm talking about where you have to have an answer, and they're dragging the feet, then go get it. Chase writes in, I hate my job, and I want to do something I enjoy. How do I figure out which career path to pursue? Well, this is the sweet spot exercise. You want to start by introspection. There are 3 key things that you need to figure out. What you do best, what you love to do most, and results that matter most. Let me explain. What you do best is inherent talent. You were born, Chase, with talent. And you can hone that talent into skills. So you need to get clear. What have I always been really good at? What do people compliment me on? What comes easy to me? Those are the questions that you need to ask and answer. By the way, go get feedback from other people who know you really, really well, and that will help you with the list of what I do best. Then, and by the way, going to other people works for all 3 of these categories. Okay, you want to get extra feedback from people who know you really well. The second thing is, what do I love to do most? This is a task, a function, a role that you love to play. You think about this ahead of time. When you're engaged in it, time seems to just disappear, and so you just have the juice. I like to say you're just fired up about it. All right. Now, if you have limited work experience, that's why getting feedback from people who know you really well, they can say, you were always interested in this. You've always gotten excited about this topic, this subject matter, right? These kind of things. So even if you got to look to schoolwork, well, I've always loved this subject. These are clues. Okay. So if you love math, you love problem solving. Oh, okay. Never thought about that. There you go. The third category is what results matter most. Now you think about, if you were going to do something you love, like Ken, I love problem solving, then you have to ask, well, what problem do you love to solve? That's the results. You can be a problem solver and work for a company and be in a problem solving role, but there's just no juice. Well, I'm helping solve computer problems for people, but I really want to be writing code that helps people solve this problem. You see the difference? So what do I do best? What do I love to do most? And what results matter most? Those are the 3 things. That gets you in that sweet spot. Okay, that's where you get to see, oh, okay, there are multiple things I could do in my sweet spot as long as I'm using what I do best. Those are tools, if you think about it that way, to do what I love to do most. That's the work, the task, the role, the function, and then it creates a result that I personally get juice and joy from seeing these results happen. Very simple exercise, but it takes introspective, hard, diligent work, and then you got to go get feedback so that you have confidence, Chase, that you in fact are self-aware. 844-747-2577 is the number. We're going to get back to the phones in just a moment, but I said earlier that I wanted to touch on failure and how do you filter failure, because this is going to hit us all. All of us are going to fail. And so how do you filter it? So just a couple quick things here. Number one, you look at the failure and you go, what did I do right? Because there's something, you might have the result of failure, but there are some things you did right. All right, so look at that first. Might only be a couple things. And there may be times where you go, Ken, I did nothing right. Okay, great. But you want to look at it that way. Then what did I do wrong? Okay. And then that's the easy part, right? We know when we fail, oh, I did this wrong. All right. So was there anything I did right? What did I do wrong? And then I want you to say, okay, now that I've got that evidence, right? This is the evidence of the failure. We're going to go back in like it's a crime scene and go, okay, what went wrong here? All right. Did I do anything right? All right. Now, what would I completely remove moving forward? I would remove this action or this decision. I wouldn't do that. Okay. But I would do this better. That's a little quick 3-part construct. And you can go deeper there, add to that process. But I'm giving you the mindset of how do I filter failure? So I take the result, I failed, but now I'm going to run it through these questions, through this process. And in doing so, I'm going to learn. And as a result, here's what you're going to find about your failure. You're going to have the weird level of confidence about it to go, oh, good grief. Yeah, I might have been a doofus here on this particular action or decision. But now I know what led to that. I won't do that again. Here's how I'll guard from doing that again. And I think if I do this, I'm going to win. It's a really, really good way to reflect and filter the failure and not let it define you. Let it refine you. I love this idea. The fire of failure is like the blacksmith who takes a blunt instrument of iron, if you will. It's nothing. It's just a big old thing of iron. He puts it in the fire and gets it crazy, crazy hot. So it's the fire, the failure, that gets that iron to a place where he can mold it. How does he do that? He pulls it out of the fire and immediately starts to just beat the stew out of it, Joe. Hammers it. Bam, 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 bam. I mean, just crushes this thing. This guy's sweating. The blacksmith is giving it everything he's got, Joe. But it is those two things. The fire and then being molded by the fire. So your failure is molding you. And then he takes that wrought iron or whatever it is and he turns it into something very specific. Very, very functional. So understand that. Your failure does not need to define you, shouldn't define you actually. Let it refine you. Fail forward. That's what I wanted you to hear. 844-747-2577. We go to Fresno, California, where Esmeralda is on the line. Esmeralda, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. How are you?
I am living the dream. What's going on today?
So I wanted to ask you your opinion about if I should go ahead and quit my current full-time job. So right now I am a registered nurse, and I work at a correctional facility. It's a state correctional facility. And I have a part-time job at a hospital that could potentially turn into full-time if I wanted it to in a couple of months. And the only reason why I haven't left the correctional facility is because everybody's always like, it's a state job, the retirement's good, the benefits are really good, and the pay is really good. I bring home about $5,300 a month. Then that's after retirement and the benefits.
Yeah.
And if I were to stay at the hospital, I would bring home about 60.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
But
So
that's without the retirement, without the...
I get it. But your heart's telling you to do something else.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a draining job.
Yeah.
It's
So
stressful.
what would the dream job pay you initially and then eventually?
Well, my goal is to be a school nurse.
Is to what?
And it's to be a school nurse.
Right.
So the pay for school nurses, it's not that much. It's about $55,000 to $60,000 a year. And I already got into contact with, I use your proximity principal, and I spoke with a friend that she does work at a school. She got me an interview with the superintendent, and he's very interested in helping me get in.
Yeah.
So
would that be public school or private school?
It'll be a public school.
Yeah. So you're going to have the state, you're still going to have state benefits and state retirement plan. Yes.
Yes.
Would that roll over? Would your existing plan roll into that?
Yeah, eventually, yes, it will.
Yeah, so I don't think so. Yeah, so here's what you're calling about. I've had this call before, and I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm just saying it's really, really clear to me, Esmeralda. You want to be a school nurse, and you've got all the reasons why. Yes or no?
Yes, I do.
Can you absorb the difference in pay financially, or is it going to set your family into a really rough financial situation?
No, it's not. Me and my husband, we make about, well, if I stay at my current job, we'll make about $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
And if I were to quit the prison job and go to the hospital, we would be around 155.
Okay, but here's the deal. Who's happier, Esmeralda in the current role or Esmeralda in the future role?
Esmeralda in the future role, of course.
All right, Esmeralda, you know what time it is, don't you?
Yes.
Say it.
It's time to quit.
It's time to go. That's my phrase.
Uh-huh.
It's time to go. Esmeralda, I appreciate the call, but you know what's happening? Your heart saying one thing and your head saying another. And the reason your head's saying another is because you got some very well-meaning family and friends who are going, Esmeralda, you're a nut job or you're an idiot if you think that you should leave all this wonderful benefit stuff. And it's making you go, oh, am I? And you're not. Because financially, you guys aren't going to go backwards a whole bunch, and you're already making really good money so you can meet all your financial goals that you want, making the kind of income, combined income of 155. But Esmeralda is happier being a school nurse. It's the dream job, and it's sitting right there, and you're going to get that. They already want you. You know it.
Yeah, I would just have to go back to school and get my bachelor's and my credentials, but I could work part-time at the school without having all of that,
right,
as long as I'm enrolled going to school.
Exactly. And you're going to cash flow your way through it. So
of course,
I don't see any problems here. You have to do what your heart wants you to do. Folks, I'm in the heart business, Joe. This isn't a YouTube show. It's not a nationally syndicated radio show. This is a show about the heart. We're going to be informed about our heart. We're not going to just make crazy emotional decisions. We're going to do exactly what we just did with Esmeralda. There is something, folks, that you long to do in your work life. It's a contribution. It matters to you, and you've got to do that. There's a way to do it the smart way. There's a way to get there the smart way, and I'm going to help you do that. But you have to acknowledge the fact that a lot of people will not follow their heart. And that leads to a life that when you get to the end, you regret things. I want to lead you and guide you to a life that when you get to the end, you reminisce. You say, what a ride. Failures and all. Whew, what a ride. Well, that's going to do it. My time is almost up, but I want to let you know that you matter and you do have what it takes. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, this is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.